First Necropolis Rio session 13, I believe. It is Christmas Eve, a very fortuitous time for us to engage in some eternal deathless antics. Right, so previously, we talked with a couple of guild masters among some other mummies as well. We had a discussion with Husani, the reviver of dead things, who is the guildmaster of the Sioux Menat in Rio de Janeiro. And we also went to a little soiree honoring the start of the carnival in Rio, carnival season, carnival week. And we met with Ocorta Segredo members over there, and also participated in some of the rites of the Ostoreros, which is the sort of combined cult of Ocorta Segredo as a whole. And we had some potentially interesting topics come up. I do believe that the phrase "we're going to have words later" came up last session as a result of some of the things we saw in the basement party of the Ostoreros. So we discussed previously what we wanted to do in this session, but I would like to start with the journey home from this sort of repurposed, renovated colonial plantation manor that we were in as we depart and head back to Rio. It's nighttime. However, it's also the first day of carnival, and Rio's transformed more or less into a 24-hour party center during the 5 days of carnival. I believe it was five days anyway. And the city is absolutely jam-packed with both Brazilians and tourists. Absolute mad amounts of tourists come to Rio for the carnival. So you will find people from everywhere in the city currently, and you will find them around the clock for about a week. So yeah, I think whatever your chosen method of getting back to the city, because this was kind of out in the country a little bit because it's an old plantation house, you feel free to choose your method of travel, and let's have that discussion back home on the journey back home about what just happened. So we can cut into, I don't know, a taxi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a taxi. You've sort of implied to the driver that maybe turn up the music and we'll talk amongst ourselves here in the back. So your driver is driving you down a busy road towards your destination in the city.
So then, brother, I take it you found your visit to the Ocorta Segredo enlightening.
It certainly proved to be illuminating, yes. Hopefully my social graces will bear fruit in time.
Indeed. I do find it, I won't say amusing, but somewhat odd that the Corte Sagredo, given their dim view of the Orishas, also choose to ape a religion from a time after Iram. I refer, of course, to the rites to Moloch that they were conducting.
Yes, I recall that particular ceremony. Yes.
Indeed, I forget the exact details, but I believe Moloch is mentioned in the Christian Bible.
Take a moment. Yes, I do believe it is. There is true. The Orishas and the court do have things in common that they would not want to admit to each other. That is true.
Indeed, and that is very much my point when I've been discussing my desire to see the Orishas folded into a risen society. Given that we effectively have the whole span of existence spread out in front of us, aside from when we sleep, does it not seem, and I don't mean this to be offensive, but does it not seem
distasteful?
I was going to say childish, that two groups of immortals who have existed before these religions were even, that they adopt as masks was even conceived, that they should squabble over relatively minor differences in how they operate, when we know for a fact that we were around before these religions and we will probably be around long after them. Does it not seem a waste of an opportunity that we spend our time working at cross purposes?
When we could all pull in the same direction.
Indeed. And it makes me wonder, I don't know if you recall, but I remember back in ancient times when there were those of us who believed that Rome was going to be the new Irem.
That had potential.
Indeed.
That place, they had some good ideas for the time, I suppose.
Indeed, it makes me wonder, might a new Irem have arisen by now, were all of our kind working together towards a single aim, rather than being at cross purposes with each other?
My gaze kind of drifts from Khufu, so I look out the window and the cityscape and all the twinkling lights and the sounds of revelry and flashback of the bull-headed.
And as you flash back to the sort of ceremonial headpiece being lowered onto this naked man, you realize you can still smell the scent of Bantanath, which is
Yes, I can.
quite distinct indeed. It's sort of this, like, because you're like looking over this like very evocative vista of the city. You're all at the same time, you smell like the scent of a garden, like using poetic language, like the scent of a garden that never existed on Earth, really, like the scent of mystic flowers that don't exist anywhere, and the sort of like nighttime splendor of an oasis in the desert is sort of the imagery that your mind conjures as you realize that you still smell Bantanath's scent.
Intense imagery that can't possibly really exist. It's just
No.
Yeah,
It's sort of like the hidden lotus bloom in the desert oasis that no one has ever seen, that like blooms in like all the hues of the rainbow, and all that kind of sort of unreal imagery comes to your mind as you muse on the scent.
Indeed, it's like the circles that you find in the windmills of your mind.
Nice. I like that, John. Yeah.
Flashback to Holland.
Yeah. I'm in. And so like, I'm looking at that. You know this, Clifford, that when he does this, he's reminiscing, and he sort of because obviously his memory's not like what it used to be. And he kind of turns back and kind of with almost confusion on his face. Yeah, I see what you say. I have to be careful how I choose my words in this regard, for I would not want to presume what the judge's will is.
Of course.
And we're representative. We are fortunate, unlike the mortal kind here, that we are aware of what true divinity is.
Indeed. But let us turn to... But there is a time for such debate, as you say. But let us turn to more pressing issues. I've spoken to you about my intent to free our servant from the Urban Pacification Force.
You have, yes.
This evening. Of course, I would welcome your help. I believe now would be, and I also intend to contact Sackmist to see if he wishes to join us in this endeavour. I believe it would be wise for us to, as the mortals say, lay our cards on the table so that we can formulate a more cohesive plan. For my part, I will begin if you do not object.
Sure.
I have a rough idea of the layout of the building where the prisoners are being held. I do not believe it would be an issue for me to enter it. My current plan is to, using my way of passing through the ground, would be to enter the place and locate my servant. My plan would then be to extricate him via the most expedient means. This will obviously entail the use of some of my abilities, which will potentially cause chaos in the prison.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that having a distraction, hence why I'm considering asking Sakmis to join us, since he has a more direct approach to such matters, may provide such a distraction. If you are, and please forgive me for being blunt, brother, if you are to join me in this, what capabilities would you be capable of bringing to bear in this assault?
Well, as you know, brother, I'm pretty good with mortal instruments, with firearms and
Indeed.
contraptions of range. I took a fancy for them, like the construction, the novelty.
You appear to have lost your voice,
Have I
brother.
muted myself? Yeah.
The judges have struck you.
Struck to be silent. As you have seen me display before, I'm able to nullify eremite utterances, or at least attempt to. But I do not think these mortals would have that kind of capability.
Indeed, certainly when I was scouting out the building, I did not sense any of our kind. But that was only when I was there previously. It may not be the case now. I would suggest that we group our forces such as they are near the building, establish first of all whether there is any arisen threat within the building, and if not, we proceed, perhaps with yourself and Sackmist making a feint towards the front of the building, and whilst attention is drawn by yourselves, I will attempt to enter the prison and free the prisoners there using the most expedient means possible.
This is the most straightforward way of getting them out.
I cannot think of a quicker way of getting our servant out than locating him, smashing a giant hole through the wall, and walking out with him.
I mean, have we not tried to use our cult to orchestrate their release, or is that too time consuming?
Our cult has looked into ways of doing this, as the priest Alvarez told us, but she has not been able to, via more conventional means, by mortal means, effect his release. That is why I am forced to escalate matters to this extent, since I believe it is an insult to ourselves that a loyal servant who, to the best of my knowledge, has not broken any mortal laws, is imprisoned by this organisation for seemingly arbitrary reasons.
Are you wishing to spare bloodshed, or is that not a concern in this?
That does not concern me.
Very well.
I would wish to spare unnecessary bloodshed. However, if a certain amount of blood is required to be shed that we accomplish our goals, then that is as the fates will it.
I do have a little trick that I could do, but I don't know if you recall me ever using it. So yeah, how many centuries together you may have forgotten. I am able to strip the mortals of their ability to communicate their language. That wouldn't kill them, but it would render them inert in a way, but it would cause an incredible amount of panic.
I do not recall you using such a gift, but as you say, sometimes memory is a difficult thing for our kind. This aphasic ability that you have, how many can you affect with it?
That's an excellent question.
since if it would be capable for you to do it on most people in the station, it would at least prevent them from raising as coherent a response to opposers if they cannot explain to superiors or others in different facilities what precisely is going on.
I believe it's anyone who can hear me when I speak this curse.
In which case, it would seem doubly prudent to have you undertake the feint at the front of the building, which will hopefully draw most of their forces. And then if you can use your ability to deprive them of the ability to communicate, it would make it far more difficult for them to mount a coherent response to us.
They will panic. There may be some collateral. They will be unable unless they overcome it somehow. They will be unable to communicate, either written or verbal.
Splendid. At which point I'm going to try using like the new phone I've got off my call. I say new, I got it a while back. I'm going to try and contact Sackmist's people.
Okay.
I've got his contact details. I don't know if he's got a mobile himself, but I know his people have got.
Yeah, you will have someone who can talk to Sockmist. So what's your what do you intend with them?
Okay, so I'm going to contact them first of all, and I'm going to say this is Igungun of the Sainted Dead. I wish to speak to your master, Sackmist, the Prince of Storms.
Right. Okay, so with that, I guess they would set up a meeting for you.
I'm going to say this is a matter of extreme urgency. I need to speak to him directly.
Right.
We
so
do not have time for a meeting to be organised.
So you get a reply, which is the number 1, and then SEC after it, and then the thing starts vibrating in your hand after a minute or two.
I can say I've had my cult teach me like the basic operation, so I'll answer it.
Yeah. You think it's Sackmist? The voice says, Egungun.
Sackmist, I'm planning to begin the assault on the urban pacification facility that holds our servants this evening. If you wish to join myself and my brother in the assault, you are welcome to do so. If you do not, then I will not hold it against you.
Tonight, you say?
That is correct. I wish to do it whilst the chaos of the carnival will make it more difficult for an organised resistance to be formed against us.
Tonight is a little bit difficult. But if you are going, I could talk to some people. Maybe they could draw some eyes elsewhere.
At which point, I'll say yes. I would be grateful for that, and I'm going to give him like the very rough rundown of the plan, like whatever forces he can get for us, and Sobek are going to sort of do a feint to the front. Meanwhile, I'm going to enter the sort of rear of the facility, go to like basically the main cell block, find, and it's not a very complicated plan. My plan is to basically find my minion, scoop him up under one like stony armored arm. Then my plan is literally to like run through as many of the walls as I possibly can to like free as many of the prisoners as I can, because I don't know what all of his servants look like. But my thoughts are, if I can like engineer a mass jailbreak, not only will whatever guards are sort of left be sort of busy dealing with that, but hopefully some of Sackmist's people can escape as well.
Yeah, that seems entirely workable. I'm putting up a picture for our boy here as soon as I can find where I put it. But yeah, that sounds fine. Is Sobek going with?
Sobek will be leading the feint. He has
Right.
an ability which allows him to deprive people of their means of communicating, which he will use to make it again more difficult for them to mount an organised response to us.
All right. Well, we'll have to do this again next time with all of us.
Well, as I have said, it is my goal to become part of and work more closely with the Orishas. So it is my hope that we will get the chance. Also, I cannot remember if I've already mentioned this to you, but there is a grand conclave of our kind taking place in the future in the human city of Washington, D.C. Husani has asked me to attend as his deputy.
Okay.
And after I passed your regards on to him, he believes it may also be interesting for you if you were to accompany me.
All right, then I guess we need to talk to some people, get some passports, papers. I'll put someone on it, and thank you, Kufu, for that.
You are most welcome, Samus.
Also, how did it go with Osrahe?
Osrahe is skeptical of my motivations for joining the Orishas. He set me a couple of tasks to prove, I suppose, my worthiness of joining the Orishas. One was the assault and release of our servants, which I am currently engaged in. The other was to burn down a smaller village which currently houses some of Husani's cult. I have.
There's absolute silence on the other end as you talk.
I have spoken to Hassani concerning this, and we have reached an arrangement via which I will be able to burn down the village as requested by Osrahe without causing any harm to Husani's cult.
You've got this all figured out, it sounds like.
I would rather have not had to jump through these hoops to prove my worthiness to the Orishas, but if that is what is required, that is what is required.
Right, just, well, Osarahe is probably not going to be very happy if he learns about the fact that the people you were set against were discussing the aggression with you.
Osrahe did not specify that I was to commit any harm to the cult. He simply wished me to burn down a certain building, and that building will be burnt down as requested.
Right. Okay. Well, anyway, the less I know, the better.
I understand.
Okay. Well, I'll tell someone to keep an eye on this phone. Won't be very available tonight. Cult activities.
I understand.
You take care now, and well, kill some bastards for me.
Be well, Prince of Storms.
Yep.
And I'll turn to Sobek and I'll say the Sackmist will not be attending himself. Matters elsewhere demand his attention, but he is sending some resources to assist us. What those resources will be, I do not yet know.
I'm ecstatic to find out.
So I suggest we push forward for the feint on the front of the building. If you require any soldiers or assistance, I would suggest you take some members of the cult, that you trust and have them as your backup.
I will gather a mortal posse with me.
Obviously, due to the way I will be entering the building, I cannot take any with myself.
Right. So who are you taking with you? Like what kind of people?
We don't really have like a black ops unit, do we? I don't think
Not
so.
necessarily, but you will have, if you want, you could call up your security guards. Now, will those security guards know what is up vis-a-vis the undead, or what they will think about attacking the militarized police? Those will be different things.
I'll say I'll get a group. It won't be as many as I could get if I
Mhm.
just use mercenaries. I'll get a group.
Mercenaries now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk. Where do you get mercenaries? This is obviously a thing, and that's not impossible.
Oh no, I mean
In
I wasn't going to, but I mean
Mm,
I would probably have a smaller unit
mhm.
rather than just by like purchasing mercenaries.
Oh, right, right.
If you
So
if you get me,
yeah,
so
you. Mhm.
I'm just
So
gonna have probably maybe up to 20 people. I don't know, like
well, you can round up your security guards.
mhm.
These will be people whose job is to stand at the front of buildings and check for stuff.
Yeah.
Also,
So,
before we start our assault, I would like to pay a visit to the massive graveyard that our cult
mhm,
administrates. I'm assuming, based on their previous behaviour,
mhm.
that the Urban Pacification Force have probably killed some folk.
Oh yes, yes, yes. That was something that Sockmist was talking your ear off about how
Indeed.
they shoot everyone's cults in the street.
So basically, what I want to do is I want to go to our graveyard and any other graveyards that may be within sort of like the vicinity of where the jail is, and using my ability to basically summon a ghost light and be able to like see spirits. I basically want to see if I can find any spirits belonging to people who died as a result of the Urban Pacification Force's actions.
So let's talk a little bit about this. So on the map, let's see. I might not have enough map here, but there's yeah. So in the very left corner, upper left corner, this direction, some distance away from sort of Rio proper, there is an area which is kind of sort of sprawling favela type structures. Now, you might be familiar with the kind of construction here. It's people building houses with their own two hands from pallets of cinder blocks of various kinds and basically plaster, sort of, what do you call it, cement between,
Yep.
if they got cement. But that's basically what people's houses are built of. They build like a box out of cinder blocks and then sheet metal on top, like corrugated metal or whatever they can for a roof. There's several neighborhoods worth of this kind of sprawl to the northwest of Rio proper. And adjacent to this area, sort of on the eastern edge of this, is a holding facility for the Urban Pacification Police, which is where they take people and with the idea that they want to take these people away from Rio anyway. That's kind of their whole deal. They want to exercise the favelas as much as possible. So they take people away and they relocate them here to the holding facilities. So that's where the place itself is. And there's a whole bunch of very poor neighborhood around, and you can definitely find graveyards that have people who have been killed in violence in the streets. Now it's very hard to tell which is like who killed who, but you can find people who have died violent deaths very easily.
Yeah, because my sort of ghost light from my
Mm,
chthonic dominion allows me to like basically see all ghosts and like communicate, and they can communicate back to me. My plan is pretty much to go around, speak.
Yeah, you
to
could
some,
ask.
Yeah, I'm basically just going to go and speak to some of the
Yeah.
spirits,
Yeah.
find out like, oh, who was responsible for your untimely demise. If I find any people who are like, oh, that urban pacification force gunned me down in the streets, I'm basically just going to go, well, you may be interested to know that I'm about to go and kick the urban pacification forces back doors in. I wondered if you'd like to get on board with that and maybe get some sweet revenge for your untimely death.
Right. So let's have a manipulation occult roll to see how many ghosts you can scrounge up, because it's not a problem of finding them, it's talking to them.
Who are
Okay.
you going to call ghosts, apparently?
Yeah.
Ghosts. I need ghosts. Lots of ghosts.
Manipulation occult, and why not? I'll spend a willpower on this.
Yep. 3 extra, which is really tasty. I've come to realize the +3 from a willpower point. There we go.
And it won't success, but it's a success.
So let's say you round up a dozen that you think are workable. Now, this is entirely social. So you've agreed with them on what to do. So they will sort of participate. They I guess what you have is you have a trash bag of their anchors with you by the time you're done. Because they've instructed you, like, yeah, take dig my grave a bit, and you'll find like my gun in there, because I was in the cartels. So like, take my gun, because that's what I want.
Basically, what I'll be thinking of is basically have all these anchors in like a big sack, in the back of like whatever truck or vehicle we're going to requisition. So my plan is park a truck within a reasonable distance of the front of their facility. Hopefully the ghosts will then be able to range far enough out to like join the feint that Sobek is leading. And I'm basically just going to say like, right, Sobek and like these other people he brings, they're on our side, so like don't mess with them. However, when you see people coming out the front of that building, mess with them in any way you see fit, because I'm about to go round the back and I'm going to wreck their shit. So basically I need you to keep them tied up as long as possible and take whatever vengeance on them you deem appropriate. And the idea being that obviously once I sort of like give the signal that like, oh, I've got these people out, so probably like ringing Sobek on his like mobile, the ghosts can then withdraw to their anchors. Sobek can jump in the car, pick me up somewhere, we can race off, put the anchors back.
Yeah.
But we'll have kept them all in the car, so we don't have to like gather them all up afterwards.
Yeah. All right. So we've got. Do we have all the elements of this plan now?
I think so.
I don't know if we decided what the feint was going to be, or is.
Well, I was thinking of something like a
me.
frontal assault, is what I was thinking. But I'm leaving that up to you. You've been placed in charge of that. Your only edict is you need to like draw them out to like face off against you and keep them tied up as long as possible, preferably until you get like a phone call from me saying I've got the people out, and then you can withdraw and you can meet me at this designated spot. I'll chuck our driver in the back and we can like make tracks.
Okay. Feint. All right.
And obviously the first part of the plan will be basically you guys will be at the front ready to go in. I'll head around the back. I'll then get you to do your sort of like mojo to see if you can sense any like mummies or occult presences, and I'll basically just be like, basically give me a ring on like my mobile to basically say yes, there's some sort of like occult presence or there's an arisen there or whatever, in which case we might have to reconsider. If you ring me and you're like, we're good to go, we then push forward with the plan as described.
We've committed now. It's just happened.
It's going down.
Okay, so Sockmist will organize. There's a team of 4 people that will aid you. Now, these people Depending on how you guys wish to read into them, that's entirely your business. But to us, as sort of out of the game audience, these guys look like stainless steel, hard nails, borderline just psychopath mercenaries, basically. So you're met with four people. They come in the pickup truck. It's kind of like a scene from your Once Upon a Time in Mexico. They just get out of the car with like briefcases full of high caliber weaponry. Someone's lugging an RPG-7.
I would also like to acquire like some knuckle dusters or other type of punch weapon.
Yeah, very easy to do. So you get this crack team of people who brought in just artillery, basically human portable artillery, and they say like the leader in a balaclava when you're like at your base camp for this plan, somewhere in the sort of distant favela before you strike, and you organize, you talk through the plan with everyone. The leader in a balaclava who just asks to be called Fox, just the animal itself, and just says, "The Prince of Storms says there needs to be thunder. We brought the thunder. Now, we're not here to die. So what do you want? What do you need?" And this guy blinks about as much as Husani does. He's just staring this like pent up violence through his balaclava.
That's fine. I hardly ever blink myself, so I'm just going to say, Sobek, yourselves, and I'll point to our like men as well that Sobek's gathered, and some other forces will launch a feint on the front of the facility to draw out their forces. Whilst that is going on, I will enter the facility from the rear and will free our people. Once that has taken place, I will contact Sobek. We will all then withdraw. Your aim is to occupy as many of the enemy at the front of the facility as you can, so that the extraction can take place with a minimal fuss.
Yeah, Fox nods. Right, we'll give you cover as long as we can.
Splendid. Very well, then I'm going to go and take up position. I will contact you, Sobek, when I'm in position. If you could scan, and I'm trying to keep it sort of like vague, so like we're not like revealing ancient Eremite secrets. If you could scan the facility so you can give me the go ahead when I contact you. And I'm going to head off, basically go round to like the rear of the facility, so get my stone up. Well, I'm going to give him a ring first, basically just to check there's like he's not like, oh, there's an arisen in the building. So when I get into position, I'll ring Sobek and I'll just say, are we good to proceed?
I'll scan. I'll do my scan.
Okay, so let's
All
review.
my visions.
Let's review God's side, which is usually the relevant one.
I've got God's side. I've got enlightened senses. We've got eyes of justice. Do you have a...
Enlightened senses, I believe, is heightened mortal senses.
I can proceed to...
Since we've got like a double posse outside the front now, I'm basically going to have obviously identified like Sanctus Force to the ghosts as like these are allies as well. And I'm going to basically say when to the ghosts, like when Sobek and they start moving forward, they're going to sort of have to maintain a distance because they can be hurt by bullets. You can't. Once you see them move forward and bullets start firing, you just go for it, ghosts. Do what you do best.
So if you spend a willpower point, you can get the like synesthesia experience of God's sight. And you roll wits and occult to notice supernatural beings and phenomena.
I'm down for doing that. I can do that. Spending
1 willpower point spent, and then wits and occult.
Yeah. So I spent one the previous session in my
Hmm.
meetings with
Hmm.
my guild, does it recover
Not this fast, unless you met one of your things there. Let me.
secret? I mean, I did learn some secrets
What secrets did you learn?
that my guild's like mega messed up.
He learned that he likes the taste of his guildmaster's cherry chapstick.
Hmm. Let's see.
Or
So
goes by any other name.
for serpent-headed, you. Oh yeah, because this was about pillars, right? So yeah, it's unfortunately you haven't regained your willpower. No,
That's fine. I just wanted
yeah,
to
yeah,
check.
no, it's good. It's good.
So wits occult was it? Yeah.
Wits are called, yeah, and you
Okay.
can spend another willpower point to get your extra dice if you want.
Mm,
Oh, but best believe I'm going to be shooting for getting some back after this, given my virtues justice and my vices wrath.
I'll hold off
Yep.
spending it just yet because I'm running low on the old willpower.
It's a little bit.
Oh,
Ooh.
all right. Ooh.
So there's no arisen presence aside from one, which that checks out because Khufu is supposed to be there, unless Khufu is not there.
No, I'll be in position.
Sneaky.
But yeah, you don't sense an arisen, but you sense it's a complex of several different buildings, as you would have in a sort of
Hmm.
incarceration facility. You have the places where people sleep, basically live, and then you have the like exercise area. You have maybe the sort of cantina is a different place. So there's multiple different buildings in this like fenced off area, and it seems like a repurposed industrial facility of some kind. There's no remnants of the industrial machinery or anything, but the layout is plainly not made for prisons as such. You would know more about this if you were an architect, but you're not. But it's not built as a prison. That's quite apparent from the outset. But there's many different buildings here, and you note that some of the things, the buildings which seem residential, they have a sort of pall hangs up over them, and this is your god site, so it's sort of these like impressions rather than information. So there's there's a bit of a shadow that hangs over some of these buildings, and you get like faint screams, like off to the distance, like barely audible, like shrieking.
How
And
wonderful.
there's I think in the distance you hear a storm wind that sort of like swallows the screaming. But then there's a different scream that you get from a different place. But the storm wind wipes the screams away eventually, and basically the darkness remains over some of these dormitory areas.
Okay. But nothing that would make me think we've got supernatural trouble here.
Well, that is very clearly supernatural because that's what your god site picks up. But there's no arisen here.
Yeah, that's
No
good.
like
So good.
flaring power of enchantment of anything. This is more if to put it more into context, this would be like a localized weather phenomenon to you. That's what it feels like, the pall over some of these buildings.
I was getting the feeling it's more of an impression of the things that have happened here rather than an individual. So
Yeah, it doesn't seem very sort of immediate
personal. Okay,
or personal. Yeah,
that's good.
but you do realize that one of the buildings that Khufu has singled out, like I'm gonna go through here and I'm gonna go into these buildings.
They're the ones.
That's where that is.
I'll make a note to tell him about that. That might be useful.
Well, I'll say I'm on the phone to you, and I'm good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll say proceed. No indication of a high value target.
What does that mean?
Prepare for You will know it when you hear it.
Okay, so what I'm going to say is I'm basically going to say wait until you get another phone call from me. I'm not actually going to speak to you. I'm just going to ring your phone, and that's the signal to like go. And then what my plan is I'm going to armor up. I'm going to sink down into the ground, and my plan is basically to move under where the cells are, and sort of move around and sort of basically just like bring myself up slightly so I can just sort of see through the floor, but hopefully not enough to be spotted. And I'm basically going to move around unseen until I locate our driver.
Right. So, give me a what do we roll for? Swimming under the floor and coming up to see if your driver is in a jail cell. That seems to be the case here. But what's the skill for this? Let's see.
Dexterity science.
Um.
Bonus points for geology.
I know I don't need to make a roll to like swim through earthen materials.
Yeah, no. It's just like how long it takes for you to find it.
I would assume some form of like stealth roll because I'm trying to do it on the side.
Yeah, probably because you're not just trying to bulldoze it. You're trying to take your time.
That comes later.
So, let's see. So that would be. No, there's actually literally stealth. Yeah, that sounds good. And then I don't know, dexterity and wits both sound good. So whichever.
Oh, I'll take wits then. Wits, stealth. And what time of day is it when we're doing this?
It's nighttime.
Oh, sweet. Get my stealth specialty moving in darkness.
Literal darkness in the underground.
That's right. Okay. What the hell? I'll spend another willpower on it. Okay, so wits plus stealth. Okay, so +4 because I'm a specialty in the willpower. 3 successes.
Yeah. So it doesn't take you very long. It's not the first one though, because you didn't get the exceptional. But anyway, you pop your head in and you do sense something in the air.
Is anything
sort of
registering to my death site?
It's not, funnily enough, but it's something like this is the mummy equivalent of slightly having your no problem, Matthew. Your hair stand on end a little bit, like the mystical equivalent of that. You note that when you poke up your eyes, at least from the floor, you note that the sort of blindingly white electrical bulbs are kind of they're less bright than you would expect in this place than they should be, maybe. And you note that the let's say you find him in the third cell, you check. And
one other thing I would like to do on my way in is the sort of exterior walls that sort of lead into the cells. Basically, as I'm sort of moving under them, what I want to do is I effectively want to like displace a bit of the dirt, to sort of like
under the wall,
weaken their foundations, so that when I've got our guy and I want to go out, my plan is to pretty much like smash as many holes in these walls as I can to give Sackmist's guys a chance to get out.
Yeah. So you check 2 before you check the one where you find your driver, and these 2, there's a woman and a man, and they're both in various stages of quite a lot of distress in their cells. The lady is rocking back and forth in the corner, just there's no one home, and the man lays sort of insensate on his little cot in his cell, and you basically smell blood right away because he has like basically destroyed his palm trying to like squeeze as tight a fist as possible, and you can smell piss and shit as well in his room. There's something like maybe you're familiar with prisons, maybe not. We might even not know because we don't remember. But these kind of stand out to you as fairly peculiar, maybe. You don't exactly know. And you come upon the third cell that you check, and you find our driver there, which I have a picture for now, which is this. Bloop. So he's not as fancy as in the picture.
There's my boy.
He's a lot more disheveled, but that's what he will be if he gets the chance to sort of get himself back together. But he has a shaggy beard going, and he clearly hasn't been able to use any kind of facilities for a quite amount of time. He's black and blue all over, much like these two were, and well, of course, the man was bloody as well. And there's a look in his eyes which tells you that something's gone very wrong with him. But he does sort of, as presumably you don't try and be super stealthy with him, he does recognize that, oh, something's happening that's not the usual shit. So he picks up on that. He's not sort of blanked out like the previous two were. And he rises up in his like stained, dinky uniform, and he's like, with a mixture of curiosity and fear, he watches as you do whatever it is you do when you reach him.
I'll basically rise up out of the floor. Good, because he's seen me in this form before.
Yeah. So he stares at you for a bit, and his eyes slowly become larger as he's sort of processing this, and he's reaching out with a hand to sort of touch you.
I'll take his hand.
And he like grabs your hand as if to like check if it's actually real. So he squeezes your stone hand.
Yeah,
and
I'm basically going to say, I am here to rescue you, O good and faithful servant.
He starts trying to speak, but it's the kind of thing where you're a fish on dry land, and it's like, and there's no sound.
So what I then want to do is I'm going to sit down, so like cross-legged, and I'm going to use my I forget what it's called, Worlds of Dead Fury. And what I would like to do is I would like to summon a hostile spectre that poses no danger to the Arisen.
Okay.
And basically, as I summon it, because I've now got the ability to command ghosts, I'm basically going to say to it, harm no one unless they are wearing this. I give them a description of the uniform for the urban pacification police. With them, you may do as you will, but first, and then I'm going to direct it to basically, the areas of the wall that I've weakened. I'm basically going to say to it, like, trash these holes in the wall, then find people who are wearing this uniform and do what you do best. And then whilst that's unleashed and hopefully like the walls are crumbling and people are escaping, I'm going to scoop up my servant under my arm, smash through the wall of his cell, and head out into the night.
So that generates Subaris. Your utterance there, the words of dead hunger, and right. Well,
you freak out the guy who's you're trying to rescue.
It probably will. It probably will, but he's been weakened by captivity, and I've got ridiculous armor rating. So like him sort of going like that with his fists, even if he decides to attack me, it probably isn't going to do much to me. And I'll just be like,
I just more meant like losing his mind, like it'll just break him.
So, as you use your utterance and you command the spirit to go and do its thing, I suppose this is when the rest of the plan gets like the dominoes are falling now.
Yeah. So once I've sent the spectre, I'm gonna send the phone call to Sobek, and then as soon as I've done that, and hopefully I can hear the sounds of like gunfire starting, I'm gonna scoop up the driver D'Souza under my arm and smash my way out Iron Man style.
Okay,
so Sobek, you had an utterance you wanted to use?
Yeah, so I'm not going to use the utterance immediately. So my instructions I gave to the crew of various origins, we want to draw them out. So we don't want just to slaughter them. We want to get them to come out. So I would have said to the guild people, just give me like a local gang in Rio that possibly would attack the police. They might have a man in the inside, some kind of vengeance attack.
Mm-hmm.
Give them to that, and then I would have got them in position, kind of like a horseshoe around the entrance station, set up defensive positions ready to take them down. And obviously, conveniently, just at the right moment, there'll be like some policemen walking by towards the entrance.
Mm-hmm.
See what I did there? And I'll shout in Portuguese. Or this is
This is for
yeah, you
insert
damn
name.
dogs, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then blam blam, using my trick shot to take them out in the leg. Because I don't want to kill them, because I want them to cry out and get their fellow officers to come out.
Right. Okay. So we're using bait.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the plan. Get as many
Cool.
people out front as we can.
Yeah. So give me a shot here. That feels like
That
the
would be
thing
so
that,
funny if I just
that matters here. You just blow his fucking head off.
To be fair, even if you miss, like, you've been shooting at police
Yeah.
outside the front, so hopefully they'll still get attention.
Now I should get a bonus here because I'm using my trick shot.
Yeah. Yeah. You're...
Yeah. Stuff. Okay. Come on. Oh, okay. The dice are with me at the moment. Let's see how long
Yeah.
that lasts.
It's not a non-lethal shot at all. It's something this guy will
I've
die
nicked
from
something there.
in the future if he doesn't get help. Cool. So you shoot him in the leg, and then things start moving. So Khufu is organizing his whole wall shenanigans, and at the outside of this facility, you now have these two people there, one of which has been shot really badly in the thigh, and there's a whole, like, there's chaos basically. And then you start, well, the plan was for Sockmist's heavy artillery to sort of focus the attention of the urban pacification police, which they do, because they've brought out goddamn belt-fed machine guns, and one of them has an RPG-7, which they employ liberally.
And also, hopefully, there's a posse of like quite annoyed ghosts romping in as well at the minute.
Yeah, and that's very chaotic because the ghosts are all individuals and they have varying capabilities of doing
Ghosts are
shit.
people too.
And I think there's just like the most effect that they have is there's an area now which is sort of poltergeist central. Like, shit don't work right there. Like, people will come in and with their like police assault rifles and try and shoot back, and they can't because the clip just fell out. The magazine release was triggered because there was a ghost that could just summon enough force to flick the release on it, and the mag slipped out. So there's like stuff like that keeps happening in the next few minutes as the police mount a counter assault, and they don't have enough power or real interest really to manifest fully, because that takes a lot out of them. So they do shit that they can from the Twilight, which is it's not nothing, because the police can't deal with things moving when they shouldn't. Like, they're not trained for that. So when the visors come down when they shouldn't, and their shoelaces are tied when they shouldn't be, things get real weird when you're getting shot with machine guns and a bazooka. So that keeps happening at the front gate. Now, Sobek, did you want to use your utterance when this is happening, or?
Yeah, I wanted to get a good bunch of people out there, and I would have informed the crew as well that when I make a gesture to try and cover their ears, because it doesn't really, in the utterance, it doesn't really narrow down if I can control.
Well, if it doesn't say, then you can't.
Okay.
So it
That's
will be
good.
everyone who hears it, I guess.
Yeah, anyone who hears it.
Right. Well.
Yep. Yep. That could be bad for.
That's fine if you tell them to cover their ears.
Yep. So I'll make when it looks like there's a good number of them, because I'm banking on even if the utterance fails, the Cerberus itself will provide the necessary confusion.
Yeah.
This is a Rem 5 shenanigan. I don't know.
What's the utterance called?
This is words of the Amuen.
Amanuensis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Amuensis.
Let me.
It's quite good actually because you can do it on a group and it's chaos. You can do it on an individual and it's it's really really bad for the individual.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually strip them of their native ability to speak completely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like a form of aphasia.
Mm. But I think you can actually permanently remove their languages apart from the native one, which I think does eventually come back.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a horrific ancient sorcery.
Who'd have thought?
You can just destroy civilization with a
I
snap.
don't use it too often because it can affect people. I assume that I may not want to. So.
All right, let me. Do you need to roll anything for that, or is
I
it just?
think so. I do believe. I think I need to, or they have to defend against it using my second plus something rating. Second academics. Second. It's the third level. It's the curse. Tier 3. I could post it in a chat if you want the actual.
Well, if there's a resistance thing, I can just give me that.
The mummy player rolls Rem plus academics plus second.
Okay, so that's what you roll.
And the sound mummy's voice, so the mummy's voice whose resolve second is lower than the success garnered are cursed. Okay, that's gonna be bad for
Okay.
everyone concerned. So it was.
So your second is 7, your Ren is 5, and your
Ren.
academics is.
It's a number, right? So second. Can I roll my second?
No, you need to roll this manually. Your academics is 0, so you roll 12 dice.
12 dice.
That's 1, 2.
2 successes. Yeah.
2 successes, okay, and they resist with what?
They resist with I'll just get back to the thing. Firstly, the curse cannot form comprehensive words, nor they can understand any form of speech or writing. Where's it gone? Oh, so whose resolve plus second is lower than the success garnered or cursed. So resolve plus second. So if their resolve is less than 2, 2 and this. Resolve plus second.
All characters within the sound of the mummy's voice. That wording is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem to require for them to be able to hear you.
Yeah.
For the rest, okay. Second tier. Right, okay. So they roll their resolve, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what their resolve is. Normal.
So, and regardless, it causes Cerberus.
Yeah, that's a different roll. So this is for them to be. Nope. Okay, so they are affected, and then they roll their whole fucking thing with the terror subars that you inflict. Okay, and there we go. Badoop. 1 success again. That's not very good for them.
Distraction succeeded, John.
Okay, so So picture this scene. there's there's dormitories whose walls start to crack and break a little bit in the distance. Now there's a firefight going on between militarized police with good equipment being provided by the state and a heavily armed unit of sort of gangster heavies. And what are you having your security people do?
So yeah, I'm getting to shoot just to wound them, not outright kill them.
Okay,
It's like-
so your security people are shooting at the police right now as well. And there's a weird energy flow across the battlefield because of the presence of uneasy spirits trying to affect the world. And you speak the words of the amanuensis to strip people of their ability to speak. And it's quite interesting because their result is, and they are affected by your curse as well. You strip communication from these people who are in a firefight with gangster heavies and your security guards. And they're trying to understand why their shit keeps breaking down because of ghosts. They can't communicate anymore, and they are compelled because of the wave of basically energy from Duat emanating from you as you use your utterance. They prostrate themselves, being shot at by gangster heavies at the same time, and they would beg for mercy, but they can't do that because you strip them of their language. So what happens is these people are put down. So there's a wave that strips out all the shouts, everything. You can't do anything anymore, and these police in a terror start like throwing themselves down in worship towards you, and they get put down.
This reminds me of
so it turns from a firefight into an execution with machine guns, which your security guards put their guns down very quickly because they've been trained. They're people. They need to go home and be able to sleep. But they're watching as the gangster heavy is just... And it's a bloodbath. They're fucking dead at the gate.
It goes eerily quiet as the first they stop losing the ability to speak properly, and then they're just dead.
Yeah, then there's the machine gun stops and nothing moves, seemingly. There's only the clattering of casings.
I really hope people paid attention to my signal, otherwise they may also find themselves unable to speak.
We'll roll for your security guards.
Mm-hmm.
They have some people who were busy trying to score non-lethal shots, so there's a couple of them who got hit. Sockmist's heavies. Oh, that was the wrong command.
Sockmist's heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, they're used to this kind of shit. Like, oh, I guess the mummy is coming in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Duck and cover.
I was going to say they if they work for Sackmist, they're no doubt useful at mummies throwing around.
Oh, they've
mad
seen some stuff. That's to be fair, yeah.
So
I just thought it'd be funny if I just completely neutralized them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But instead, you neutralize the police because they're dead. And Khufu, you do your exfiltration, and there's the whole like meetup afterwards that you're supposed to get.
I'm gonna hang around long enough just to make sure that like the other prisoners have like at least some of them have escaped.
Yeah. There's a chaotic prison break. People are running away from the gunfire from the direction of the...
That's what I was hoping. I was like, if there's gunfire at the front and we're like, oh, there's no walls there, all of a sudden they're going to be like, right, we're going to go away from that, which is what I want.
And they look pretty terrible, the people escaping. They've had a rough, you think maybe months?
I know it's not likely, but and obviously feel free to say no. Do
Yeah.
any of them have any obvious signs that they might work for Sackmist? I don't know, like tattoos or anything like that.
I'll probably. I'm just gonna see how. Yeah, there's a handful that you can see that have explicit Thunderbolt imagery, that's their cult stuff. So
Okay, so if I see them on my way out with Gustavo under my arm, I'm basically going to tell them that by the will of Sackmist they are released and they should head to they should return to the rest of their cult and basically give them directions as soon as possible.
yeah, they're taken aback a little bit, and then they start redoubling their efforts to get the fuck away. And you hear shouts as they go of Trovada, which is their cult name.
And I'm just going to say the blessings of Igungun to you, and then I'm going to head so they know like who was released them. So when they get back to Sackmist, they can be like, oh yeah, we were freed by Igungun and whatever, and even know I did my part of the bargain. Then I'm going to take Gustavo, go to the meeting point where I arranged for Sobek to pick me up, send him, like ring him, shrinking down out of my armor once I'm sure we're safe, ring him and say, I've retrieved Mr. D'Souza, I'm at the pickup point.
Stand by. We'll be there soon.
Understood.
The extraction was successful.
So you wrap your operation
Yeah.
killing fields, you wrap that up, and a whole lot of your security people are very quiet. And it's not only because they were cursed with no language. You depart. There's the meetup later on. And Kufu, for your information, you have realized at some point in your exfiltration that, yeah, D'Souza is he's very poorly, of course, as you determined earlier, but he's also entered a kind of catatonic state. And occasionally you hear him murmuring stuff.
I'll listen to what he's murmuring.
He's babbling in a combination of Iramite and Portuguese and just nonsense.
Okay. Well, my plan is once we get back together, first of all, drop off the relics back where they belong, and then pretty much take D'Souza via a roundabout route just to make sure we're not being followed or anything like that. There's not really anyone to follow us, but just in case.
Yep.
Then basically go to our cult, arrange a meeting with Alvarez, and pretty much be like, we've freed D'Souza. He's obviously been poorly treated. He requires immediate medical attention.
Now, both of you can make me intelligence occult rolls or some mystical skill aside from occult, if you have such a thing. I don't think you do, but
does it relate to superstition?
No, this is real.
No problems. I shall make that roll.
Does it relate to an artifact?
No.
Okay.
That's 3 successes from me.
3? Yeah, you know what? Yeah,
Just a palfrey too.
Both of you have come to realize after a period of time, basically at your cult headquarters, that D'Souza was ground zero for one utterance, at least, from Khufu.
Yeah.
And if not, then Sabek, you let go of another utterance.
I did. It's true.
He might be a witness. He might have turned into a prophet of fear, which is a mortal who, being exposed to a requisite intensity or repeated applications of Sybaris, they turn into a sort of channel for Sybaris. Which is to say, D'Souza, you realize, is such a thing. He is a Sybaritic oracle now. So when he is exposed to Sybaris, he might just prophesize stuff. He is exposed to the sort of, well, everything that flows from you that has the essence of Duat, as you use your utterances. He is a channel and a lightning rod for that kind of thing. And occasionally he can actually divine secrets from this influence, this energy of Duat that flows through him, that are prophecies, actual real prophecies that you personally are not able to, like, there's no facility within the Arisen to do this kind of thing. This is purely a mortal quote unquote ability. But it seems to your understanding anyway, you maybe use 2 utterances next to D'Souza right now. That's not enough. He's been exposed to Subaris quite a bit to have turned into an oracle. Now, it doesn't incapacitate him just regularly, but when he gets hit with Subaris, he can go into a oracle trance for hours.
If that being the case, I will get a member of the guild to transcribe some of his
The cult, you mean?
mumblings. Yeah.
Or are we calling Bantanath?
No, oh no, this is not a Bantanah situation.
What I suggest we do, Sobek, is that we basically give like a very watered down version of this to our priest Vanessa Alvarez, and we basically say, effectively, by the grace of the judges, he has been elevated to the position of an oracle, and he should be treated as such within the cult. For when the judges see fit to bless him, he will speak words of prophecy. And we basically arrange for him to have like a higher position in the cult as like a cult oracle.
Yep.
If from what you've told us is true, then he's been exposed to much more Sekhem and utterances than we would have been present for. So who has he been witnessing to? That is the question.
The thing is, to be fair, you've got to remember, like, given that we don't remember everything, it's possible that like we've used utterances in his presence before and we just don't remember it.
I mean, that is true, and that's a clever way of getting another flashback in.
Well, I will highlight to you, because you're kind of the person who makes these kind of connections. It doesn't take you a long time, really, to connect what you witnessed yourself with your God sight in the place that D'Souza was living in.
Of course, yeah, that would have been a shoot essence.
Someone's been hitting those places with a lot of Subaris. Of course, in order to do that, you need to do the other thing, which triggers the Subaris. But the sickness hangs heavy over those buildings, enough to actually be picked up by your God sense, even though there's no mummy there to inflict it. But it's there in the buildings, the ground, the air.
It's a long shot, but am I able to reverse engineer what utterance has been used?
That would be a very, very, very long shot indeed, and you needed to be there, and you needed some occult tools probably for that, which we don't currently have, but technically you could. It would be very, very difficult, though.
Tricky.
It would take some time and a lot of expertise and a whole lot of luck.
What? Or
Mm-hmm.
or a spirit that's witnessed this happening.
Or a spirit that has witnessed it. If only people died in an authoritarian prison.
You could talk to spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Only. I will leave that idea upon your mantle. If you wish to pursue that. That's beyond my means.
It's something we may do in the future. But like I said, basically give D'Souza to the cult, explain about the whole prophet thing, get him like a bump up the cult promotion ladder, but then say like he's been mistreated, he needs like medical attention as well.
What's more interesting is why that place has been, and who. Why and who?
I would also advise the cult to, given the fact that he's got a beard and whatever, I would advise them to like change his appearance. So whether that's like shaving off his beard, changing his hair and whatever, just so he's not as immediately like noticeable, like when the urban pacification police go, oh, there's been a massive jailbreak, even if they don't recognise our involvement. They'll no doubt be on the lookout for the people who've escaped. So get the cult to change his appearance, like shave his head and shave his beard off.
Yeah, so he basically looks like an actual prophet from the wilderness when he comes out. And then when you're like, oh, we need to change him up a bit because they will be looking for him, then he turns into his fabulous self in the picture. Which I seem to have lost. Oh, there we go. So here we go.
Add him to the tour. Would you like to see a real prophet?
make him an attraction.
attraction.
That's what he needs after a prison sentence.
Then what I don't know how feasible it is to like wrap this up. I basically, if it's possible for me to complete the burn the village plan.
Yeah, it's fine. We can do like timey-wimey shit if we want to, because I'm aware there's a couple of things we.
Because basically, I want to complete that, and I walk up to bloody Ogun and just be like, done.
Yep.
What you got, sucker? Just walk in and be like, that's right, Ogun, you know my name.
Right. So, how long do we want to do timey-wimey stuff as we organize our various businesses? We are now basically done with the first day of the carnival. We have 4 more days of that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It depends how long the like the village shiznit's going to take with them.
The construction is going to take a bit, but the burning can be done quite
Well,
rapidly.
he only actually said he wanted me to burn down one building, didn't he?
Well, it was like the.
He didn't say the whole village. He said there was a specific building in the village, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember the exact words, but his intent would have been destroy those people's places in the forested area.
In which case,
Makes
what I'll do
sense.
is, whilst the permanent village is under construction, I'll get them to put up, one of those quick sort of like prefab things for them to live in whilst the permanent one's being done.
Yeah.
And I'll do that under the auspices of like, oh yeah, move in here for a bit, and whilst my people are constructing like your new village, if there's anything you want them to add into it, just tell them.
Yeah.
And
Right.
hopefully my cult's sort of getting the paperwork through to get them like protected status. And then my plan is basically burn the old village. I've got like my mobile phone, get someone to show me how to work like a camera on it, or get me a video camera, whatever's appropriate. Record like the village burning, so I can basically walk in and be like, oh yeah, $3 Satmis people. And there's a little video of a village burning for you to watch.
Sobek, let's say this project, getting the prefabs done. I'm gonna say 2 days for the village project to be in the state where they're building the new one and the old one is gone and everyone's kind of safe and settled.
Cool.
Sobek, 2 days. What do?
Obviously, I'll be spending some time with Bantanaf and learning.
Yeah, learning the utterance. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously checking in
Mm-hmm.
with what happened at the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from that, I'll be because I located that relic in the city. The one that was held by some. Well, I don't know if the creature still has it.
Yeah, you saw the image of some kind of office, you think, with some historical artifacts, including the book in a glass case.
So I'll be getting some more information about that location.
Right.
Because getting them relics never ends.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's your job.
It's your job. I think I would. Sounds so cheeky of me, but I'll get the guild to make a donation to the police.
Cult.
Sorry, yeah. So I keep saying guild.
Yeah.
My cult to make a donation to the police in respects of the sudden massacre that's taken place.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be like we respect local law enforcement. And sort of like to honor the dead, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Right. So
Kufu would appreciate that, and it's good to make good.
You probably have your guild stats somewhere, do you, John?
I do. Yes. Just give me a second.
So let's have a couple of rolls, one from each of you, of a number of dice equal to the reach of your cult.
Oh.
I don't know if that's 3 or 4, but
okay, just give me a sec. The reach is 3.
Yeah, so let's roll 3 dice each to see how because you're using your cult to do things.
Oh man.
Okay. Right. So yeah, uh,
Just
they're
models. Just not
doing.
really.
They end up not getting the prefab, but they've put the basically Husan is called into a hotel.
That's fine.
Yeah. So it's in a hotel. It costs a whole bunch more, but it was like it fell down at the last minute, and they needed to do something because the place was already burning. So they needed to put these people somewhere,
That's fine.
and they went into a hotel. So there's a lot of expenses now coming from that, and of course the construction and all that shit. So the cult might have some trouble splurging money on random shit in large amounts going forward. But of course, you can just slash and burn if you don't care about risking the cult's actual dots. But yeah, the money is kind of tied up now because the construction efforts and all that.
That's fair enough.
Now, the locating where the relic is, Sobek,
Yep.
they've narrowed it down that the particular floor paneling they've found is something that they do in, let me refer to my thing here. Okay, so the floor paneling in the office is the same kind of paneling that they have found out exists in the National Library of Brazil, which I've put a
Right.
picture up for you right now. And that is in the central Rio, very central indeed. There's a small square nearby, like a sort of park area almost, and several other pieces of interest. So this is, let me find. So it's here. So it's slap bang in the middle of Rio, and it has 9 million items, i.e., books. It's quite large indeed, and the building is fairly impressive, as we can see from the picture there as well. But yeah, you know that the office probably in there. The wood paneling matches, and it's distinctive. Your cult has assured you that they've consulted with wood paneling experts,
Experts.
and
Glorious.
this is where they pointed you.
The idea that it's in a library of knowledge just pleased me.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not going to stay there because it must be returned to RM. Although just
Yeah, it's you're checking it out permanently.
Yeah, it is. Damn to those finds. Yes. I'm gonna have to find exactly where it is and bring it home.
Righto. Well, in the meantime, as well, both of you are aware, because your cult will have told you, because it's their kind of
job
business to do so. We have, of course, the clue, which you have now narrowed down to the National Library of Brazil. We have that clue for a relic, and we've completed the prison break. Good. I'm just going down my notes here. Then we have a different kind of item of interest that the cult is informing you of, and it's a bit of a bigger thing that they just let you know. If you want to get on this, that's something you could do. It might be of interest to you. The cult, in the form of the House of Repose and Restoration, as we know, they're engaged in all kinds of conservation efforts, and cultural and otherwise. And they are doing things in the Minas Gerais state of Brazil, which is to the, let's see if I can get this right. It's the northeast from Rio. There is an area in that particular state called the Cerrado Savanna. Now, it's a tropical savanna region, and particular in this region is there's many different, you have been told from by your cult, there's many different places of interest, but perhaps of great interest to you specifically might be the Cavernas de Peruasu, which is a limestone cave system. It's a fairly new project that the house has involved itself in. Basically, they have this region where they are one of the primary responsible sort of instances for preserving everything in the area. Now, their expertise is more with the sort of cultural and historical and that kind of thing. And they're working together with a different institution called the Kilwarden Memorial Conservation Fund, which is a UK-based fund that is interested specifically in the biosphere and animals. So there's a bunch of sort of rare / endangered species in the Cerrado region, and especially in the Cavernas de Peruaso cave systems. So the house is working together with the Kilwarden Memorial Conservation Fund, and they're basically setting the place up for action. And the cult thinks you might want to go look at some of these places in the cave systems, and you're shown some pictures of apparently cave wall art, which you quickly note that they bear some semblance to Eremite cartouches, which is the writing of Irem, but it's not exactly the same. But it has some of the similarities that you're used to in your native language. So basically, the cult is like, we're doing this project, it's here, we're involved with the Kilwarden Fund, and they're there because there's interesting animals. We're there because of basically the geological and then this like cultural heritage now, because there's the cave wall art and whatnot. And we think there might be more there because they too have noted that these writings look kind of like Eremite, but not really. So if you want to, you can go there. Your cult is present at the site, so if you want to travel there, they inform you that there might be something there for you. Might not, but who knows? So that's something they tell you as a matter of course. Right. So 2 days pass. You get your pyromancy and construction on, and Sobek tracks down a relic, which, if you want to, you know where the building is now. You can give me your own personal efforts here. So, wits investigation, if you want to get into the detective stuff.
I like books.
And I cannot lie.
Yeah, it's true. I'll find this relic.
The other mummies cannot deny.
They cannot deny.
3 successes. You've determined that the book is in the office of the director of the antique section of their collection. And the director's name is Aristides Borges. I'll put that in chat. You know where the office is as well.
And we've not met this person previously, as far
You
as
have.
I'm aware.
You have. A couple of 100 years ago.
No, he's not the guy. He's not the same guy.
He is the same guy. He was a priest then.
You know what they say?
He's not a priest now.
Fool me once.
Mm-hmm.
But if I remember you and I wake up again, I'm not going to get that relic.
Yeah. So something happened because, as you recall, he was about to be taken care of. Turns out.
Yeah.
Turns out maybe something happened. But he's here. You've seen him in your stalking of the book now in the halls of the library. He's very careful about his movements. He is not inactive during the day, but he's very careful about stepping into the light. His office heavily curtained, and basically he leaves and appears when it's dark.
Well, that
So
changes things.
apparently, Aristides Borges, or whoever this guy is, he is the same Heartless that you saw
He
200 years
survived all
ago.
this time.
Mm-hmm.
I had mistakenly thought that it ended up in there as like an antique or an artifact. Like a historical artifact, not
Mm-hmm.
big artifact that I know it is. Now this turns out to be the case. He's now in a position of power in Rio. So I'm just
Yeah, he's this is a governmental. This is basically a part of the ministry for culture.
how did he survive? More mystery.
But you will have seen him, and because of your god sight, you will probably have looked at him, and there's the same feeling of emptiness, and you hear a river rushing, and you smell blood as you look upon him.
Huh. I wonder if he knows I'm here.
Who knows? Right. Well, 2 days have passed. You will have concluded your investigation. You know exactly where the relic is. You know where Aristides makes his lair. It's where the relic is. And we have your thing all set up, and you take your evidence back to Osoreje, and he's not very welcoming, but he says that he will convene with the Orishas and give them word that you want to be a part of the merit, and we'll see what happens. But as he said during your first meeting, he can't really command them to like, oh, pick this guy up.
No, that's fine. He basically was like, do these 2 tasks, and like, I'll put the idea to them.
Yeah, I'll put it on the agenda.
Yeah. So I'll accept that. I'll excuse myself.
Yeah.
I'll probably at some point sort of call in on Sackmist basically just to check that like his cultists got back to him.
Yeah, and he is grateful for you.
And obviously I'll thank him for the assistance that he lent us.
The machine gun team. Yeah. No, definitely Sackmist is very appreciative. You've sort of hit upon 2 very good things for him. You've helped him out. He didn't even ask. And you also helped him out when he did ask, which is the part where you you talked to Husani about it.
Indeed, and I'll slip in the mention that I've spoken to a gun, and that he's going to convene a meeting to put the question of my membership in the Orishas to the rest of the Menet.
Right. Yeah. You get the feeling that Sackmist isn't super excited about Osoreje.
Yeah, I got that vibe from him previously.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping via like buttering Sackmist up a bit and helping him out that at least I'll have one person going like, yeah, actually, yeah, Gungun's all right. We should let him in.
Yeah.
Nah.
Right. So these pieces are moving. The Orishas will be talking about this when they can convene. There's a number of them. Have we actually got all the pictures up? Let me check. Because they are the most numerous merit in the city.
I can see we've got 4 that I can see on there.
4. Okay. So we have more of them. guess, yeah, we will have the timey-wimey stuff. So you will have seen these people, and you will see them in the near future. Anyway, so we have one more Orisha. Apparently, I don't have his mask here, but I will. Oh yeah, I remember his. So we have this guy, Anak Amtanan, the inciter of forbidden visions, who is Eshu.
Yeah, he's normal from the forehead down.
His Orisha mask is Eshu, the trickster. So he's a trickster god, and that's his Subaris form. Right. Then we have for him, I need to look up the mask. Okay, here we go. Yeah. So next we have Kekewe, the Hunter of Divinity, whose mask is Oshosi. I'll put that in chat. Both of these, if I can get the chat up. So we have Eshu the trickster and Oshosi the wait. Do not have his details. Hunter god. Yeah. So he's a type of hunter deity in his Orisha mask. And then there's a lot of these guys.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, there is. We have Beset Kerad, the progenitor of duality.
Oh.
And let me look that up. Okay. Right. So Beset Kerad is worshipped as Oshumare. I'll put that in chat as well.
Seems like there's more people in the Orishas than the secret court.
Yeah, there are. So Oshumare is the rainbow serpent who communicates the will of Olodumare, which is the supreme deity in their sort of context. Basically analogous in their interpretation to Azar, the Lord of the Underworld. So basically this kind of a almost like herald of the supreme god, rainbow serpent in nature. Yeah, and these people, their descriptions will have been at the bottom there. So, but the picture is, aside from Beset Kerad, because that's a snake. But yeah, Anak Mtanen is a remarkably handsome man in his mid-20s, with the appearance of a westernized Moroccan. And Kekewe, in his mortal form, is an athletic and muscular black man with a shaved head, and he has a network of scars from scarification rituals. And Beset Kerad appears to be an elderly white woman in her 70s. Right, so that's the Orishas. There's 7 of them. And yeah. Soon we will have all the pictures for the Rio mummies up. Right. Okay. Well, 2 days have passed. You have accomplished your most pressing matters. What is up next? What are we doing as we convene from your various duties? Presumably, maybe back in the tomb or the cult headquarters, wherever you want to meet up. The carnival is still going for 2 more days.
I was going to say, yeah, I'm planning on like experiencing the carnival for.
I was
Yeah.
going to go out and see what these humans.
Right. So, is
He's
it?
like finally.
Are we partying in Copacabana like it was 1999?
It shit in 1980s.
Do you call Abe Shetta to party?
A little. I kind of want to, but also I feel like that would. The last time I called him, I ended up in a dreamscape, or another, or a split from reality. I'm not sure I want to go there again.
I may, given the fact that in the previous meeting it was arranged that I was going to meet up with Sakons later on, I will probably try and organise that for some point during the other 2 days of the carnival.
Right. Okay. So do you just call Sakons and go out to party with the three of you, or is this a separate deal?
If Sobek is interested in that idea, obviously he was there when we were at the meeting of the Court of Sagredo, where I sort of did like the funeral song, and she was like, "Oh, we'll have to meet up and like chat about this later." So I'm going to say, well, if we're meeting up to talk about culture and like how information sort of spreads via culture, you couldn't wish for a better time to do it than during the carnival. So,
Sabek?
I'm down. If he wants to do it.
Okay.
He wants to come.
I suppose we smash cut to an evening on the 4th day of Carnival, and you are at the beach once again. It's different though. It's not Copacabana. Sakons will have suggested Leblon because that's where the Occurrence mummies hang out. It's richer. It's for more rich people. But otherwise quite similar to Copacabana. I'll actually see if I can quickly find you a picture. Okay. Right, so we'll take that. So you're at the beach. There's a waterfront bar that you find yourselves at, sat with a group of quite luxurious chairs. There's a small table with various drinks, with umbrellas and all the frills on them. And you are surrounded by lively music drifting from the bar, from the beach, everywhere. And there are incredible amounts of people having a good time partying at the beach. The actual sort of carnival floats are in a different part of the city entirely, but this is where a lot of good partying goes down, as it's a beach. Very good for that particular purpose. And this is something that Sakon suggested. She's more or less a native, so see, she brought you here. Okay, and then, sorry, I'm just putting up the image. Oh, fuck. Okay, so what is your sort of what do we see when we get to the bar tables, are you dressed up to party? Are you having a good time? Are you engaging with the actual festivities themselves, or are you observing?
I'm probably more observing. I'm since I'm unfamiliar with these surroundings. Part of this for me, part of the point of this is to like acclimatise myself a little bit.
Hmm.
So I'm probably dressed fairly somberly, as is my normal want. So I'm probably more sort of like observing it with a slight detachment
Hmm.
rather than sort of like actively throwing myself in. I'm sort of interested, almost from like an academical point of view, in the sort of social event that's like, and the interactions that are playing out around us.
Hmm.
I'll be doing essentially like a meet and greet, just chatting my way around, getting a feel for the place, getting an idea of these people.
Right. So you're chatting to the people as well
The
as.
people, yeah. Well, I don't have anyone I'm like looking for at this stage. I'm
Mhm.
just kind of mingling around.
So you will have met a number of people from various different walks of life. You will, of course, there's the bar staff you could have talked to, the sort of waiters and barkeeps. There's a number of what they explain to you that they work in technology. You're not quite sure what that means exactly, but they work in high tech and pharmaceuticals, that kind of thing. Uh, and you're presently engaged in conversation with a very loud and very inebriated uh, man who says he's from some place called America, and he's pulled up a chair and he's having a good chat with you about sports, and you may or may not be participating in this chat.
I'll be asking like relevant questions every now and again to try and get an idea of what it is. Obviously, they're a pale imitation of the sports in Irem.
the, the, the Eremite football was
Eremite
superior.
tag was legendary. I should know.
Hmm.
Dodgeball in Irem,
Yeah, you don't want to get hit with that ball.
stuff of a legend. So yeah, like I'll be asking a few questions, trying to get Phil. Where Khufu seems to like he likes to learn things abstractly from a distance, observing it like an experiment. I feel to get to the truth, you have to engage with it and
Hmm.
shake the sand off it and find out was hidden beneath. So
I've just realized we could roll some dice that might result in
like a role playing game. I don't know
some
if that's
very very interesting results here. If I can only find the thing. Where is it?
kind of dice roll you're after.
It's going to be percentile.
Oh,
1 minute. I will fetch it from my shelf because I don't appear to have the PDF to hand. 1 moment. Actually, toilet break, perhaps, at this
sure.
point. So, yeah, let's take 5, and we will return presently.
Back in the saddle. Right.
Yeah. Right. So Matthew, can you give me
I can.
a D100, and then because we can do that in Roll20, a D50.
Wow. Okay. New rolls for a new age. Obviously, in a REM, we rolled 150s. That's just that's just how it was back then.
Okay. Right. One moment. I will consult the tome of results. Let's see. Okay. All right. And then 33. Well, was that correct? That might have been. Okay. Yeah. Revise that. So.
Wonder what John's gonna have to roll.
Okay. Right. So basically what we're doing is we're consulting the Damnation City NPC things. So, and because this is good old World of Darkness, they're not numbered because that's numbers are for nerds. So I need to fucking coordinate these by counting the actual entries myself because, you know.
We're going. We don't need numbers.
No.
That's because back in Iran, when we used ancient tables, the fates decided we did not need numbers.
They were unnecessary.
It was not only the nameless city, it was also the numberless city.
A sum zero place.
Interesting. Okay.
Is that a good? Interesting? Oh, bad interesting.
Right. So you can give me a wits socialize, I guess would be the thing,
Okay.
or like
Wits socialize.
like wits politics or something. One of those.
Okay. Wits. It's already clicked, which is. I'll go politics. Two success. That's pretty good for me. Oh, yeah.
He is some kind of official. You realize maybe he's a kind of diplomat. Who knows? You don't know the exact, but you get that's what you get, especially because you too are a bureaucrat of some kind. He
It's
is some kind of official, maybe American, because that he sure introduced himself as one. And you get the idea that he's being very intense with you about sports because he's trying to avoid something else. He's using you as cover currently. You realize after a while. He's hanging on to the conversation with you because there's something he wants to get away from.
Wow. Okay. Can I figure what that is? Can I have any
Nah,
idea
but
what that is?
this is as much as you get.
Just like interesting.
But yeah, there's this man, I guess, in like he doesn't have his like suit jacket on, but he has his like nice like collar shirt with the sleeves rolled up and nice like dress pants and extremely expensive shoes. He's very intent on discussing just about any sport with Sobek, and he's fairly smashed, and you don't think it's necessarily all alcohol either. So yeah, Kufu, this is what you can see from your vantage point on the other side of the table, where you're discussing with Sakhons, who is enjoying some kind of very fruity smelling concoction currently, and is dressed up very much like she was going to a club. Very provocative club wear would be the correct description of her. The usual fare for her.
That just entirely like washes
Yep.
off me. It's not
Yep.
something I even bother with. But I'll mainly
yeah.
be talking to her about since obviously I sang the sort of funeral song previously.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be explaining and sort of reiterating that obviously preserving like the deeds of people that have passed is of like paramount importance to me. However, it's recently become obvious to me that if I lack the means to adequately express those deeds to people, then they may as well be forgotten. So I'm basically hoping, because I know she's been like a muse, she's been sort of a patron of the arts. I'm basically looking for some tips, and maybe even if she sees fit, some sort of training on how like with these funeral dirges and things like that, how I can better express them to sort of get that message over to people to ensure that those information, those stories, those deeds aren't lost. Because if I tell someone, if I sing some like ancient funeral song of someone's deeds to someone, and they're just like, oh, that was a bit of rubbish, then I may as well not have bothered. So that's generally what I'll sort of be talking to her about, hoping to like pick up some tips from her, like I say.
She can definitely help you with some guidance on the matter.
And I'll be explaining that the reason I've only just noticed this is like back in the day, we used to just like carve people's deeds onto like tombs, and it was understood that that was enough. People would come and read them; they'll be aware of the deeds. But obviously, she's well aware the methods of sort of getting news out to people and getting information to people has obviously vastly changed. It's no longer sufficient just to carve stuff on a wall and rely on people to read it themselves and retain that information. I've observed they need to put a face to the information you're giving them, and at the moment I can't provide that because I don't have the ability or the practice with sort of expressing myself properly to mortals.
She has a number of different avenues that she has pointed out to you. Apparently, she has people who can put the word out, so to speak, if you need to do that kind of thing, if you need to like relay these stories or songs, she can get you set up with that kind of thing. She doesn't seem to like she gives you some tips for okay, so let's like briefly reminisce on like how we used to do the songs and how we used to write the sort of stories, I guess, of people who used to live, which overlaps very heavily between both song and poetry.
Yeah.
This sort of like remembrance art. And I'm gonna roll for her here. She seems a little bit different now talking about this stuff than she has been previously when you've met her the last couple of times you've been awake.
Yeah.
She maybe it's you projecting because you remember her from Rome. It might be you projecting, but it kind of feels a little bit like a different version of her that's like surfaces when you discuss these things.
Well,
Um,
given that I'm a fairly sort of straightforward person, I would probably
mhm,
just directly ask her about that,
mhm.
and I'll say that I won't go into any detail, but I'll say she seems much different than I remember her in Rome. Does she mind if I ask how these differences have come about? If she says, "Oh, I don't want to talk about it," that's fine. But
It's an almost instant like reversion to what you think maybe is the current sort of way she is, whereby she like raises her immaculately maintained brows and laughs a bit, takes a sip of her drink, and sort of leans over, puts a hand on your shoulder, and says like, "Oh, Khufu, I think it's merely the passage of time. We're all leaves floating down the river, but we've been such always. We are ones who do not change. But I am whatever I need to be to whoever needs me. It is a very good way to be. I've determined. I'm I am pleased. Are you also pleased with what is Khufu? And it's a very broad question, but yeah, basically, what's up? Are you good?
I'll say, yes, I am fine. I am in my own slow, stumbling way, seeking to adapt somewhat to these new times and the people who live in them. I do not have your facility to flow as rapidly down the river, but in my own spluttering, slow way, I believe that I attempt to chart a similar course.
Well, Khufu, if you need aid with navigation, let me tell you, I will read the coordinates for you all day. And she laughs once again and raises her glass. Do you have a drink?
Yeah,
Of your
because
yeah,
I'll be like,
something.
everyone else has got a
Yeah,
drink, so I've
like
just, I've just grabbed
one
a
of those for
drink.
me.
Like, yes, one of those red ones.
Yeah. So she raises her drink
I'll be like, oh,
and like tinks and
yeah, I'll do that, and I'll as I'm taking a sip, I'll just say, I would of course be grateful for any assistance you could offer.
as I said, I live to serve. It is entirely my pleasure, Khufu. Now, what do you make of this? And she, again, like she's leant like sort of towards you, like almost like reclining on her own chair as she's been talking to you, and now she's sort of indicating to Sobek and this somehow like sweaty, distraught, drunk, maybe on drugs, well-to-do American diplomat man.
And she's like, "What do you make of this?" I'll say, "It would appear my brother is talking to a dishevelled human who appears to be somewhat the worse for wear."
She sighs, like exasperated. Kufu, these are things we need to discuss. You want to put a little more spin on the leaf as it goes down the river.
Spin? How do you mean?
Life, Kufu. You need it if you want to do what you wanted to do. What you just said. You need to be able to invoke the spirit, I suppose. Stir the spirit. There's nothing stronger than words.
I agree. I understand the principle of what you are asking, but I am unsure of the method.
Well, you can still write, yes?
Yes.
Well, writing, there's no art form that speaks to the human spirit more passionately or effectively than does writing. So we will have to work on your expression, because you see, as you saw as well in our recent soiree, people are motivated by their passion.
Yes, I have observed that.
You need to seize that passion by the throat with your quill, if you excuse the metaphor. And you need to make it sing as you wish it to. If you wish to supplement this art with some others, that is fine. I've great success with it myself, but we need to put well, it's all fine for me to say, but if your long years have stripped something from your soul, it is not for me to put it back. I suppose we will have to see. Maybe you could write some samples and we could look at them. Perhaps you could practice with Sobek, who is, from my understanding, quite proficient and also close to our guildmaster, Bantanath. Under her private tutelage, I am given to understand currently, he should be a splendid teacher as well in the arts of what you desire to acquire.
Thank you. I shall think on it.
Again, Kufu, it's all of this silliness with the other merits, the sparrow's ever-present festering shadow over everything. It's all a distraction. This reminds me, she leans over to you and to sort of get your attention. This reminds me, you mentioned having things, putting down sort of monuments of a sort, and that the way that that happens has changed over the years, as we used to write down on stone tablets with
Yes.
chisels and such. Have you? Well, of course you have seen it, but what do you think of the great statue that Hamset built? And she indicates the Cristo Redentor, the giant statue on Corcovado Mountain,
I'll say
which you can see. It's underlit.
Yeah.
It's up there, but you can see it.
I'll say its scale is certainly impressive.
Now, what would you think if Hamset wanted to build another one on Sugarloaf? And she points to Sugarloaf.
Would the second statue be identical to the first, or would it differ in some way?
In function, I presume it would be the same.
A display of religious faith.
An image of Azar on the outside, much as we have fooled the mortals otherwise regarding the current statue. Which that checks out in your memory. You've obviously seen the statue before, and you do remember that. Oh yeah, it's basically an enlarged vision of a particular statue style of Azar. So yeah, it was sold to people as, oh, we're going to build a statue of Jesus, but it has like the hidden coding is Azar. Much as we have blindsided the mortals with the imagery being displayed, Hamset being the pious hand of Azar as he is, and she's clearly disdainful. It is also a matter of the fountain beneath it. And she is clearly gauging, like, do you have memories of this?
I'll nod and say I'm aware of the fountain.
Right. As much as there is a fountain beneath the Cristo Redentor, there's one on Sugarloaf, as you will know.
Yes.
Would you, were Hamset to propose a new statue, like the first one, to be built on Sugarloaf, would you and your brother be for or against that?
It would depend on the purpose of the statue.
Presumably similar to the first one, cap the fountain. I would have to talk to Ibn Shetta for the details of the particular functions of Heka and whatnot, but to harness the fountain and disperse it, much as the first one does with the first fountain.
Would I have any idea, Johannes, like how that may affect the ability of the Arisen to utilize the fountain?
Yeah, you can't do it anymore because the fountain will be inside the statue. Okay. However, the first statue takes the fountain and disperses it over the entire city, and the effect is your descent, your loss of Sekhem happens slower in Rio because of that. Because the Cristo Redentor channels the fountain's power, the magic, to everywhere in Rio. All mummies in Rio descend slower because of that.
So, sort of like working this through logically in my head, if there was another one doing the same thing, I presume the descent of all mummies in Rio would be even slower than it is.
Even slower. If it's going to be the same thing, probably twice the effect then.
So I'll say, assuming the effect is the same as the first and extends over all Rio, I would support the building of a second statue. Obviously, I cannot speak for my brother, but it seems to me that the building of such a statue would benefit all the Arisen of Rio, whereas currently only a single Arisen can benefit from the use of the fountain on Sugarloaf.
She nods. It's something that might come up again as the Sothis has risen.
I see.
Well, now, whatever shall we do? Shall we see what is going on at the I will have to actually Samba drone. I think we should be there. If we leave now, we should be in time to see the last of the floats for today. Come into the drone itself. If we can depart. And Sobek, that might be your entire being right now as you're listening to this man. He's going into the minute details of baseball rules exceptions.
He's
And
realised I've lost interest about 20 minutes ago, but this man, he keeps going.
yeah, and he's sweating profusely. He's mopping it away, and he's ordering another drink to have something on his hand.
I'll look around just to see if anyone seems to be paying him like attention, like
Wits
wanting-
investigation.
Oh, that was the right question. 4 I mean, I've had plenty of time to look around.
4 successes, yeah, because you're bored as shit, so you're just scanning the crowd for anything.
What is this cricket?
Yeah, yeah. Sucker. What is this?
Base.
Is that some sort of? Isn't that when you request aid from somebody?
Yeah.
Sucker.
Sucker. You note that there are a couple of people of quite stylish appearance, not dressed for like a party night. But they've got like smart business wear, basically. Nice, expensive clothing. They're stalking the crowd. They're looking for someone. Quite apparently now, because of your great number of successes, there's 3 of them in the crowd, and they're doing a methodical sweep. They will be upon you in some time in the near future.
I don't know if I want to help this guy or not.
Mm-hmm.
He's really not winning him any favors.
No.
But he's an innocent man as far as I can tell. Am I getting any weird supernatural vibes from them?
You can roll.
Okay, is this
It's your god sight.
God sight?
Yeah.
So my
That
God
would be
sight-
the one to use
What's it called?
almost every time for like supernatural stuff.
God sight. I need to roll.
It was like wits and occult, I think.
Yeah, there we go. What's in the call?
Yeah.
Come on, come to Papa. Either roll. 1 success.
You as you watch these people move through the crowds of people partying, yeah, having a like impromptu like beach volleyball without a net in the crowd, just people like smacking balls, and people's drinks being spilled. It's wild because everyone's having an absolute blast here. You see these people moving about. They're very sort of they're calm and collected as they go about, and each one of them leaves a sort of like red after image after them that tracks them a little bit as they go about. So there's almost like a red trace in the air after each one of these as they
Neon.
move.
Okay. Do I have any of my cult people with me?
Would you have brought them with you to party with Sakons?
I just imagine we bring cult members with us everywhere, like just a
That
few.
that might be the case.
Like
I'm
hangers out.
asking.
Like, because we don't know Rio in certain aspects as well as they would. So I think we'd always have, unless we're going into, unless we're, going to private mummy matters, Eremite matters. I think I would have brought a couple because this is a chance for us to extend our reach and meet people.
So who did you bring with you?
Obviously not the driver because he is off his face on.
Yeah, and you will have learned in the passing 2 days, he is massively addicted to drugs as well. Barbital, see, he has, from what he told you, your cult rather, that when he started having the fits, he basically made a deal with some other like gang members, and they smuggled him in some drugs for him to knock himself the fuck out. Yeah, that's how he's been managing
That's how
thing.
he survived.
Yeah, so he's trying to he's laying having different kinds of visions. He's laying in a pool of sweat because he's trying to get rid of the habit in some back room of your HQ. So he's not okay, but he's trying to right himself. But yeah, so who did you bring? Some office clerks, or
I think I would have brought, with me personally, some people, some of our outreach members, for like, oh, these are the works we do in the city. This is like, these are the people that you might run into, like government people, like government officials, kind of corporate leaders, that kind of thing. Some of the movers and shakers. Maybe not like the top people, like they just know mid-level stuff.
So sort of like key account managers.
Yeah, and maybe like a security person or two, but like I wouldn't have brought like a team of.
And are we talking entourage? Like,
so basically, you're saying we've gone to a party and you brought like a couple of like middle management dudes with you.
Well, what you see is, I feel like, obviously we're only awake for a short amount of time. In retrospect of the entire chronology of the stories, so I think that when we're awake, it's good to bring the guild along. The cult along. I keep saying guild. At various points to sort of show, obviously, to prove who we are, to show the truth of who we are, but also to give them an experience of what we're trying to do, like what how their job like helps us and helps like push our attentions further.
So you're having them follow you around so that they can look at what you do and get an idea of what you guys are.
Yeah, and obviously provide us with intel.
Right. Okay. So
like obviously in ages past, you'd have had your high priests around you, kind of thing. I feel this is like an obligation for me as from my guild perspective, as someone who's a member of the law. It's good for them to see us doing our job. If that makes. But I wouldn't have brought I'm not talking like 30, 40 people. I'm talking like a small team, because we're not expecting trouble here.
I'm talking a small team, a couple of middle managers, SWAT team, the insurance guys.
The guy who does the ice cream, that guy.
Yeah, the burrito dude from the cafeteria.
Yeah. The taco man,
Okay, so I suppose these guys are hanging out somewhere nearby in their own table.
Yeah.
So we have created them. They are present. What to do?
So I'm just gonna lean into this guy, and I'm just gonna cut like through it a little bit. Maybe not. Obviously, reveal I am from ancient Arem. Bow down before me. Join the team. We're an aggressive company that likes to get In and out.
I'm a literal headhunter. You
Yeah.
better
And you've
pick
been
your.
hunted.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what his deal is. But I'm curious. I'm curious enough to like to get to the truth. I get the bottom of these things. I need to know what the mystery is.
Hmm.
I need to unravel this enigma. I
Hmm.
understand, and he's presenting something weird's after him. I
Hmm.
want to know why. I'm not as interested in him as a person. That sounds, you know, not that doesn't sound very nice, but it's like it's not necessarily him as an individual. It's what the mystery about what's happening with him that's making me curious
Mhm.
as a judge, and he will be judged. So I'm just gonna lead in and be like, I can see, obviously, your interest in um, rugby is incredible. Possibly the greatest person I have met in 300 years of such. I'll just let that sentence fly. And I can see that something is concerning you. Um, I happen to be here with with sort of my organization. If 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 you're requiring transportation somewhere, possibly you're worried someone is meaning you harm, or possibly you're trying to avoid a client or you know some politician, I can assist you in getting you out of here. All I ask is some information at a later date.
Okay, so he leans in and is like, okay, I got about half of what you just said.
That tallies.
I'm having a bit of a bad day here. He wipes sweat from his eyes. What was that? 300 years?
Ah,
Are you like an
no,
antiquarian or something?
yeah. My organization's been around for a long time.
Right, yeah, yeah.
We do a lot of work for the community. Consider this community work.
Yeah, no, that's nice.
You might not think that later, but
Once you stick your commandos on him.
yeah,
Hmm.
I've noticed while we've been talking, there's a few people. They seem capable. Seem to be looking for someone. Could that be you?
Jesus fuck! And he like springs up. It's like
Wait.
just looking around. It's like, where?
Stay. Relax. I just kind of gestured. They were there about a minute ago, but you don't want to draw attention to yourself.
I need to leave. And he's like,
Understand?
if
Do you require help?
he's going.
I just can't do the gesture. You know the gesture for the gesture. Yeah.
So what is that?
You know,
What do they do then?
they could. It's just basically to get the security to come to me.
Black bag him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one
Mhm.
in the van.
Make sure he gets out clean and keep hold of him. I want to talk to him later.
Okay.
He gives the gesture.
Yeah.
So you
if he's gonna waste my time talking about all these weird ball games, I'm gonna entertain myself, I think.
right. So you sent your security guys to like shadow him, basically.
Yeah.
Now you presumably you follow what happens, or do you? Are you letting the matter play
It's a
out?
good question. Yeah, I will go with him actually. I will.
Oh, you're going with them.
I like to think that Sobek's just like massively escalated. This is like, this man is boring me. Taking my commandos.
Was it two fingers or one? I can't remember. Well, he's either getting, either taking him or black bagging him. I don't know which.
Make him disappear.
Yeah. I think if I make the sparrow, that's when they go get takeaway. I just can't remember. See,
So
I'm gonna follow at a distance
Mhm.
because I'm curious to see if the other party notices him leaving, and what they do.
Mhm.
I don't know what they are.
Yeah, they the three individuals that you tracked earlier, they spot him because he springs up and he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh Jesus!" they spot him.
That after image that I saw, the
Yeah,
weird outline.
basically it's like yeah, it's the sort of like visual artifact of like the person walking, and there's almost
Yeah,
like a
yeah, yeah.
trail behind him of himself. So they spot him and they start converging with the same like methodical pace towards
Have
him.
I seen that outline ever before? Is it
No,
something that I've ever encountered?
no, not to your memory anyway. So you send your security guys after him. Do you
This is
go
the
as well?
problem. I'm
Yeah.
gonna follow a distance. I
Okay.
want to see what they do, but I'm just saying it's easy. Like Khufu, right? Khufu, he is an interest in spirits, right? But when spirits do something, he just asks them, and they tell him whatever he wants to know, because that's what he does. He just controls them. Right? I've got to actually get these mysteries. I've got to go out and get these answers.
Mm-hmm.
It's taxing. But someone's got to do it.
So yeah, you said to your security guys like make sure he gets to leave. Fine.
I'm also thirsty, so as I'm walking, just like
Mm-hmm.
out the corner, like it's just a waiter just happens to go past, and I just take a drink and take it with me.
Right. And you're going to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is the three adversarial individuals uh, they grab our
Sweaty sportsman.
sweaty man in nice suit, and because he doesn't know where they are, he's just trying to make out of the crowd in a panic. So they catch up to him. So do your security guards, and there's an exchange of words, and our sweaty man in nice suit leaves with the adversarial trio. They start walking out of the crowd together, and your security guys come back to you with a sort of glazed look, and in a monotone. One of them explains to you that if you want to be snooping around, you might take better care of yourself and not leave trails where others might find them and send bloodhounds after them. And then they sort of like, poof. I was like, oh, it was a misunderstanding, some kind. I don't know, business people. Weird, but they
I don't remember telling you to come back empty-handed.
no, but they whatever it was, they got it in hand. He was on something, inebriated, probably more than the beer. You see, and they're gonna take him to a clinic, see that he's okay.
I was
Are
laughing
they
because
now?
I imagine like Sobek being like, I didn't tell you to come back empty-handed. Then turns around to his second commander team. He's like, black bag them all.
It's like takes out the sat phone. It's like execute order 66. Fucking missiles start coming down. Yeah,
right.
it seems solved now. So
It does, yes. Well, for now, I was like, huh, stuff's going on.
well, all kinds of people get up to like these foreigners. They get up to some like they who even knows what they buy off the street because you fly here with your big wallet. You buy the party drugs off the street, and then you think you're gonna have a good time. But then you're gonna end up talking about rugby on the beach for I don't know 2 hours, and then sweating your soul out from your pores. Says one of your security guards.
Yeah, he was a interesting individual. If you could find out who he was, just get a little bit of details on him. Find out what. That would be great.
Sorry, who was who?
Guy I was talking to. The guy I was sat talking to.
Oh, him. Right. Yeah.
I mean, the guy I sent you to get, and you failed to do that. That didn't
We,
happen.
yeah. I'll get on that. Anything you need, or are we going back, or?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I will rejoin Corfu.
Right. Yeah. So
I'm
we
not going
do.
to pursue this anymore at this moment in time. It doesn't. It doesn't appear to be error my business, but something is snooping or something is crawling around the carcass of this world. It's not.
Khufu and Sakhans are discussing, like, okay, well, you need to put emotion into your poetry, Khufu. Otherwise, how are you going to convey the sorrow at someone's passing or glorify their achievements? And somebody comes back like, something is crawling on the carcass of this world.
I'll be like, do you mean emotion like that?
Yeah.
So Sakhans wraps her arms around you and is like, Sabek, that was wonderful.
I thought you were going to say for a minute then, Sakon's is like, like a black bag goes over his head.
I was inspired.
Wonderful. Well, if you're done talking sports, she laughs
I was
as
done
if
talking sports a while ago.
you need to be more clear with what you want with the mortals, Sabek.
It's true.
We're not to waste our time here. I know a place where we could go to have some fun. Shall we?
I really hope this isn't the Ib Shetter kind of fun.
Oh, please, I have my own cult.
That's not really comforting. I'll be honest.
Just give me time. I will comfort you. She says as she takes your hand and starts like leading you away. And she's like, Khufu, there's a car we need to catch.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah, and I think we'll roll the credits on that. It's a little bit of a different, shambolic beach episode, but there we go.
I love the fact we had like a sort of military like precision like extraction operation at the start, and then we're just like, oh, that's a bit stressful. Let's go and have a beach party. And Sobek's like, yes, let's go to a beach party. Dispatch Alpha Team 1 to accompany me.
Target is in sight. Take the shot.
That's it. We have code Sweaty Man. Repeat, code Sweaty Man. Is that Slender Man's less popular?
Acquire it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for running that. Very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, a little bit. I do enjoy the variety that we have managed to squeeze in.
Yeah, man.
We seem to be like fluttering like a butterfly from vastly different kinds of things to something completely different. But yeah, that was that. Thanks for playing, and we'll resume maybe here next time.
Indeed. So I'll stop the stream now.
Yep.